Hey, Carl, you back here?
Yeah, just working on some stuff.
What are you, what are you up to?
Oh, just making room for all these MX-73 headlights that I have.
You know today's the day we're gonna go to Mississippi, right?
That's today?
Yeah. You said you had, what, a cylinder head or something you had to pick up?
Yeah, but I'm doing this.
But we need the cylinder head.
Hey, what do you think about putting MX-73 headlights on an MX-83?
Genesis.
So, we get there and the head's not in the best condition.
It's a little seized.
Well, I wouldn't call it seized. But when we clean it up, hopefully we'll see if see what the journals look like on it. What he did have was some cam gears, and that's the big plus. So I don't have to get those off the internet or get those shipped or anything.
Yeah.
So that's a big plus right there.
That was clutch.
But yeah, he's building a Supra that was an NA that he's now turboing with an aftermarket ECU. So hopefully we'll see whose engine gets done first. Dun, dun, dun. You know, we'll see. Grady, he's got his head bolted down to the block already.
Yeah.
So he's much farther along than we are. Alright, so we're back here again today working on the head. So we got the Mississippi head. We got the regular head. We've disassembled both of them. So you can see we've pulled the valve springs and stems out of this one. Valves and valve springs. This one we removed everything but the valve stem seals. They're a little tougher to get out because this had been clean and it's dried up. But something that kind of came to me recently was how this one, if you look right here, these little plugs right here, these hold and I got them here on this motor. These hold a cover that covers the top of the spark plug galley, and it holds the spark plug wires on top. And mine got torn up, and so I just kind of cut it and removed it. And you can see remnants of pieces right here, on here, and a little bit right here. You can see pieces that are still there. And I didn't think nothing. I was like, oh, remove it. I didn't know that those bolts sealed something. So you can't really tell in this one, but if you come over here, and you can see my little finger right there, and that exists on this one, on all of them. So these little passages allow the oil to flow from one side of the head to the other, depending on, like, if you're in a turn or whatever, so the oil will drain on one side of the head or the other. So since I think what I did was, I think I caused a leak there, because I kept having little leaks, and I kept replacing the valve cover gasket, assuming it was a valve cover gasket. But here's the kicker. Every once in a while, like, my motor would run weird, like it was bogged down with water during a rainstorm. But sometimes it would also spray the engine down. Like, oh, I'm going to spray it down and kind of clean it a little bit. And I only did that once before, and then I did it again at Jeff's house. Now, because at Jeff's house, we took the radiator cap off, and the orange coolant went everywhere. And so I sprayed it down. And then after I sprayed it down, started it once, moved it, and then hadn't started it till, since, because then we started to disassemble it. But there's milkshake in it. And we're like, we hadn't seen milkshake at all. Where'd it come from? And looking over at this head gasket, move these cams. Looking at this head gasket, I keep looking at it like there's no real damage to it. Like anywhere around the rings surfaces for the pistons, there's no signs of a blown head gasket. So how did milkshake, happen? I think when I sprayed it down with water at Jeff's house, I pushed water into the cylinder head, which then put water into the engine. And that one time I started it up and then moved it was the only time it circulated the water and oil. And that's why then it got a chance to settle in the bottom of the pan and create a separate separate oil and water barrier. I think that's so I don't think this engine was like super damaged. Like, it has rod knock, and I think the rod knock's from slashing the oil around and starving the oil pump when when I was drifting in his backyard. I think that's where that's from. But knowing that that's how the water got in there, it was just the last startup, that means most likely this bottom end is in pretty still good condition. I mean, it still needs to be rebearing, but it's not like, there's probably no signs of scoring where the crank would have to be completely repolished, the rods would have to be completely repolished. I don't think any of that. So that kind of is interesting that I caused my own issues by being stupid. I thought I knew everything about 7Ms. Clearly that was one thing I didn't know. But yeah, so today we're gonna so one of the things we're doing, we're still working on cleaning these. This one had been cleaned, but we're gonna remove these little plugs. Make sure we can. And then what we're gonna do is, since this one right here is so, the journals and the cans are so bad, but it's a straight head, we're gonna try to clean them up as best we can without polishing them, and do a plastic gauge test on them to see if they're like too worn out, and we might plastic gauge this one, because this one, other than not being straight, is like a perfect head. You know, everything's dirty, but everything's smooth, like on the inside. It's hard to tell, but like maybe because this one's been sitting, but I don't know. The cams are so much worse than this engine. Oh wow, it's like super loose. Yeah. Let's see how this one. Oh my god, if they're that loose, then yeah, definitely leaking oil. Because some people had a really hard time removing these things. Which makes sense, you know. Yeah. It's a bolt. Oh, that one's a little tough. That one's a little tough.
That one.
Okay, I'm gonna put my foot on it. I'm gonna put my foot on it. Got my foot on it.
There we go.
All right, there we go. All right, now you can switch. Oh, look at that. Look at that little piece that came off.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, now we can switch to.
All right, so Jacob has removed them, and just to point out this last one, for example. See if you can see that. See how part of the gasket / cover is poking out? So that means it could leak. This one, the second to last one, it's, come on, focus. It's pretty much all gone. There's nothing there. So we just got done using the feeler gauge on this head and that head with my cams on that head, Mississippi cams. Yeah. My cams, Mississippi cams, and what we have come to find out is both heads, the bottom is slightly warped, but the top is much more warped on my head than that head, and so the thought is that we're gonna probably use the Mississippi head, but use my camshafts, because my camshafts are much tighter clearances on the Mississippi head, and my camshaft I'm trying to find a bad one. My camshaft caps are in much better condition. So let's give you an example. Mine kind of look like they're. Come on, don't know. Scored up. When you rub your finger over it, it's much smoother than say one of theirs. I say theirs, Mississippi head. Don't know. Come on. It's much rougher. There's like parts your nail actually catches on. So we're gonna probably. So what we're thinking is. We're going to use my cam caps, because we think this head's cam journals are not that bad, but the cam shafts are way worse than those cam journals, and some of the caps over here are really bad too for the Mississippi head, but not all of them. So we think the guy, which is, I'm not like blaming him or anything, makes sense, he took the better head, which probably was the same as this one, scoured up, but like didn't have the helicoil problems. And then he took the good cams from one head and took better caps, which is perfectly fine. This is what he has left over. Still worth the money with all the other stuff we got out of it, like good valves, good clean valves. Plus his head is a lot more clean. There's less work other than having to do the valve sim seals. We got to pull those still. Yeah. But yeah, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna plastic gauge this Mississippi head with my cams and cam caps, and then we're gonna measure them. So that's the next thing we're gonna do. Boop. head. Oh shit, about to fall. So, yeah, welcome back to the shit show. So, that right there is the my old head, putting back on the motor, just snugging it. And this is the Mississippi head. And what we have decided is that while the clearances aren't great, they're better than bad. Yes, I said that. Better than bad. So what we're going to do is, I've made the executive decision as the The what?
The beard has spoken.
The beard has spoken. That we're going to just go with the Mississippi head, but with my camshafts and my cam covers, because those are a lot smoother than this one's. Like I said, because I think the guy not mismatched, but switched up what originally came on this and the other head he had, which is fine. One with the best stuff. It's fine. That's what we're doing. Doing the same thing. Yeah, but right now, he's tightening the head down. Are we good?
Yep, we're good.
All right. So next thing we're gonna do is I got all these aluminum parts here, sitting in some simple green aviation.
Yeah, aviation grade degreaser.
Yeah. So we're gonna take all that out, put it into his silica, go bring it to a power wash.
Go into a car wash.
Go to a car wash. Go to a car wash and use their pressure washer to get all the grime and stuff that's on there still. And then we're gonna take that head and put it in here and let that sit for overnight. So that's the plan. That is the plan. Well, the intakes are the newest thing. Everything else has been in this thing multiple times, taken out, rinsed off.
Oh, and dumped back.
Yeah, so the intake's the only thing that's fresh. If that makes any sense. Yep, that's in there. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Alright, and that's it for this week, guys.
Yep.
Tune in next week for same bat time, same bat channel.